Evening, 7 o'clock now. Today is the 6th, Monday, 6th of March. And let's look at our schedule. 6th of March, we should be doing the so-called lesson 9. And in our lesson 9, we're supposed to do the importance of mixed method in business research. Okay, so as per normal usual, I would like to mention a little bit about the assignment brief. So I want to highlight to you again one more time about the assignment brief. Many people was thinking about if the questionnaire is answered, if the outcome like this here, outcome is being so-called met. And also if they follow some of the sample of what I have given to them, and if they follow closely, then they should be having a pass. So I want to mention it's not true that some of sample do not qualify for all those criteria, assessment criteria like this. This kind of assessment criteria is not met. As long as the assessment criteria, all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is not met, it's not possible to pass the candidate, or it's not possible to pass the student. So bear in mind, all these assessment criteria is very important. They have to be mentioned, right? If it's not mentioned, it's not there, that means there's no way the assignment can pass through. It's not a matter of answer the question or what you put in the content. It's a matter of so-called meeting these assessment criteria. So you look at this now, all those assessment criteria is quite a lot here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a 10 assessment criteria here. So all these must met. For example, if you write a lot about many things, but you did not appraise business research problem, then you're going to have problem because you did not appraise, you did not mention, you did not even make an attempt to try to discuss about so-called problem within your research. For example, here, right, in the previous model, have to follow quite strictly to the format of what they want and also following the criteria. So here, like this here, right? So if you are told to do all this, so you have to do all this. So you need to have an introduction. So introduction must clear. So-called this literature review must also clear, and research method and even statement or assignment must be mentioned, and also so-called timeline. So if you do not have a timeline, right, then it is not possible. It's not possible to pass. So I will show you what is a timeline, what is a Gantt chart later. So you need to have all this, right, and all this must be in so-called work file, and it's around 2005 words, right? And there are also some thing that you need to mention in another part, right? So you have to calculate how much word they ask you to write and which section is how many words. You have to look into all this. So if you are not looking into all this, then it is not possible to clear the assignment. If you know ethical statement, or at least mention some ethical doing in your assignment, and you don't have a timeline, you don't have a way you think that you have declare how you organize to manage the whole research process, so it is not possible to pass. Okay, so evidence to submit must be in word form of proposal 2005, right? So these are the criteria. You have to be very careful, right? So that's why I take a lot of pain to talk about methodology, the technique, the quantitative data, and also the qualitative data and the collection of data and how you analyze the data. I need to spend a lot of time on this, and also mentioning and show evidence of your questionnaire and also some analysis through some technical means, SPSS, Excel, or something like that, right? Okay, I mentioned this, so be careful about this, and do not just follow the sample that I give it to you, right? Some of the sample I give it to you may not even pass, but just give it a guideline how to get started, right? A sample is not for you to just copy everything and then just submit to me and say that I will pass if I follow the sample. Sample is not for you to do the assignment. Sample is for you to have some idea to do the assignment. But if you copy the whole sample, it's unlikely you will pass. Okay, and that is under plagiarism too. Okay, so I mentioned this quite clear, so I hope you can cooperate on this so to make our life easier. So I've already finished this. Okay, treat this thing aside. Okay, this is what I mean by a Gantt chart, right? So you need to have a Gantt chart, and this Gantt chart was made by a project, Microsoft project, and this is the duration. Of course, you can't see clearly what you're going to do here, right? Cannot bring forward now, so I cannot. So anyway, this is the Gantt chart. Okay, and this is a work breakdown task, right? So of course you don't have to do so many things like that. This is the one I help my student using visual. So research projects start from here, right? You have to mention all these. If all these are not mentioned, this is just a picture to tell you that all these are important things that you need to mention in your assignment. So you need to mention some idea, some proposal of your research, right? And how you get it started, how you plan, how you determine the question, and what is your design methodology like, and how do you prepare the literature review, and how do you write, and at the same time you have to have an area of implementation, right? In the implementation you're going to talk about your software, right, that you use, for example SPSS, Minitech, or Excel file. Then you have to mention about what kind of people are doing the assignment, whether you alone or whether you get some helper, or do you interview the helper, do you train the helper, and roughly mention the place in which you not really conduct the assignment, the place in which you do all your documentation, and also how do you conduct interview. For example, you use Google Form, you use interview, and then from here our analysis, you look at here clearly, right? It was a mixture. That's why today's topic is about a mixture of qualitative and so-called quantitative. So you got to go back after your quantitative analysis. You got to go back to your qualitative analysis, and for that matter you have to revise your literature review, right? So literature review, prepare here, write here, and when you come back to here, this literature review also have to be rewrite. And as I mentioned to you, how you clean the data, right? Say female and male is written in a string form, written in a word form, so it have to be changed into 1 and 0. I already show you. I will show you again one more time, and how you use Google Form. How do you make Google Form? How do you make question out from the Google Form, right? I have actually shown you, but if I have time, I'll show you one more time. If you look at my previous video, all this has been shown to you in the video. Okay, you have to rewrite your literature review here. You have to clean your data, recode your data. Then you come to analysis. How do you analyze the collected data, right? And then you need to discuss you need to discuss, right, with the person involved, that you do the so-called so-called research. Not every person. If those people you have done on a low level one, which is the quantitative one, maybe the supermarket or some kind of bus terminal station, the one you don't have to. But if you are interviewing a big boss of that company and you have told him that you come down here to do a research because you want to get something at the end to improve the company, you still have to go back to him, right, to let him know and to discuss with him what would be the likely recommendation to improve the company. So you see, all these analysis come under this area. Implementation come under this area. Planning come under this area, which very clear cut on the research question. So if you don't know what to do, so you have to physically write things like that. Use this chart to guide you, right? So all these are in your content, and all these are in your assignment criteria. So literature review here, coding here. That's why I mentioned so much about how do you recode. It's important because data have to be clean, right? Some of which cannot be believed because some people just anyhow fill in. So you have to guess which one to take out, which one to recode. And data collection analysis have to be also spend some time to look into. How do you analyze? Right? How do you fill the gap? Right? Do you have any improvement? Do you add value after your analysis? Right? And if from this research review somebody have some idea, you are going to improve certain idea, you are going to cover that gap. So what do you do to improve that gap? So these are all those things that is very important at the last part, because at last part is where you're going to write. So your Gantt chart will fill all this activity, and also your delivery. Okay, sometimes you may want to do a presentation to somebody, right? So you might present first, then after you do the write out, it wasn't just write out, that's the end. You write out, you must correct, you must proofread, and then final submission. So this chart give you a fair bit. This chart is made by me, and it's not cannot find in any YouTube. This one is made by me using Microsoft Visual, through a lot of thinking. And this picture will tell you everything you need to do in your assignment. If you lack some of this here, of course some of which may not have to be so detailed, means you're not fulfilling the criteria. So this one is a fair guide, alright? It's a fair guide for you. Okay. So a picture paint 1,000 words. This is a Gantt chart. Ethical, I already have mentioned to you last week, quite detailed, right? And also how a brief ethical situation is being mentioned by some of the students. That's why I put this thing out so that you can. So one more time, you look into this now. So this one I showed you already. These are some of the questionnaire. Right. In fact, a question like this one is for my student doing a research on the SPS bus. Right. So as I say, this all about sample, all this, and this is your descriptive sample. So this one you should use descriptive data to describe this after you encode this, and this one categorize, right? When you come to inference or quantitative inference data, this is quantitative descriptive data. Descriptive data, as I mentioned to you, is described about the sampling, and this one is about your population. But things like that would be quite nice, right? My student even take the trouble to Google translate this, right? It's quite nice, right? And it's so simple and sharp. It's just a few questions, right? 6 questions on descriptive, and inference only one data, right? Of course, you can put a bit more, right? So this is how he use this for inference data. Bear in mind, inference data is for population, not for sample size. It's a predicting of the population. Okay, this one I've shown to you before already. Okay, I will go back to some of the PowerPoint, and if possible I can use my I did not brush through this PowerPoint last week, right? And so now under lecture 9 I try to use this, and it's quite difficult to write, but PowerPoint is easy to write. So we will continue our qualitative, right, and method number 2. And as we go along with this method, I will try to let you refer to some student or some assignment sample so that we can coordinate in between this. That is why I put this one in a PowerPoint, right? It's not to be carried away. Okay, so we have this one here. Okay, then we look at the second slide. So I think have mentioned last week, but maybe a bit not so detailed. If I have mentioned last week, please excuse me, but then this is important, right? Next week we will be round up with the data analysis recommendation conclusion, right? But in between I will still show you some of the student sample. So I have mentioned this before, right? Maybe last week, but today I mentioned again, right? Because it's a sample, a qualitative research number 2, right? So everything that you do, it may not be necessary just your eyes. So you have to see through other people's eyes. I mentioned this last week, right? And you need to describe and emphasize on your content. Also, you need to emphasize on the process. That's why I show you the process, right? You emphasize the process. Like these are all the process. So you need to emphasize a little bit about the process. Okay, so this is called emphasizing the process. So flexible and limited structure. So it's up to you. I mean, things have to be a bit flexible, and you have to concept on ground theory. So when we talk about ground theory, we mentioned last time, right? The ground theory involves social aspect, right? So look into how you're going to do it, right? So we have mentioned this before, right? Interviewer. But the question is not just some of the way in which you do this focus or describe this. I have shown you at length this, right? It's better I show it to you, right? Rather than just, oh, there are some method. So I prefer a method like this, done as like my student, right? I have show you many of my students. So I show you. This one give a fair bit detail of what you have mentioned just now, right? So I don't need a scanner because I have this file already. The day I need a scanner because I lost this file. So when we talk about question, right, this one, focus group lah, interview, observation, and case study, right? Case study is normally past case study because as you, for a student, you can't have a case study itself unless you go to the company and do some research and write a case study, which are a bit totally different now. But maybe you want to do it as a case study research within your assignment. Can, but this one I won't recommend. It's difficult. Case study method. So you have observation focus group interview. This is not a limit. There's more than that, right? So like this student, right? He have mentioned quite clearly what is his method. This is the one that I helped him to do. I show you just now in black and white. So proud of what we do. Okay, I've shown you this before, right? You have to mention something like this, right? And also you have to put like this. You see, focus groups. No point you just say focus group, right? You must know why you choose a focus group. What are they available? Interview, focus group, and this. And then why you choose focus group. So therefore, you have to list out the advantage and disadvantage, right? Something like this. At least this gives you some idea. And I have let you know that the assignment brief require you to put some table, some graph, right? Some figure. So these are the table which I recommend you to put lah, right? So if we talk about focus group interview, what is the advantage, what's the disadvantage, what's the limitation, right? Just no need to describe, but just put this table, and I think that will be fine, right? I mean and then you see there's some reference even here, right? Even put a reference here, right? Trade auditor, all this, right? Some reference where you get his source. This table is made by my student, okay? And another student, this is a Chinese student, I think. So I guide her to make this one. So if you can make some kind of this chart, I think it's good enough with some reference lah, you know. And we think the reference must be a true one, it's not a bluff one, right? Should be checked. So as I said, you need to have some charts like this. You need to have some table like this. So I'm guiding you how to do your assignment, right? But not just showing you this as a learning PowerPoint. That's how my PowerPoint, I don't want to make it so colorful, distract you. What we need is just the knowledge to do our assignment. Okay, so if I brush through this PowerPoint like this, you will learn nothing. But if I show you the student assignment, at least you can see how are you going to do it. Okay, next. So these are some of those interview in detail, right? So you have to mention some of the interview, and you have to make it clear what do you mean by open, structure, and semi-structure. Okay, so if you see individual in-depth interview, so these are those key points, right? You can get clear information if you have an in-depth interview, right? So you look at this, right? Interview, qualitative in-depth, right? Face-to-face structure. Very clearly, this student mentioned, not just forward this PowerPoint and say like this, right? You must select, and at least you tell, oh, he select this one. Okay, he select this one. And this one is here. Okay, he put it down here. Okay, and his questionnaire is structure. The other student is having a semi-structure. Okay, so his quantitative, he have this. His qualitative, he have this. Right? So at least there's some meaning in just looking at this. Otherwise, there's no meaning. Right? This is just the so-called the descriptive of this in-depth interview. Right? Get information won't be able to get from the questionnaire. Right? So some of the questionnaire you cannot just get from questionnaire like here. Right? You cannot get important quality information. So you need a quantitative to talk to a more senior people in the company. Less quantity but more quality information. That's what he said, right? Get information that won't be able to get from the questionnaire. Okay, then in the process of you doing it, I have mentioned this last week, but I mention one more time again because now I'm showing you the sample, right? So you must talk about some of the bias, some of the negative feedback, and you must prompt some of the question. Also the answer. Not all the answer given to you are acceptable. Some answer really you thought it's not possible, right? Okay, how much you earn? He said I earn 3 million. Not possible, or not possible for an average person to earn 3 million, right? But he just put 3 million for fun. Therefore, that answer is definitely not correct. So you have to correct it. So you have to check your answer. You got to probe into the answer to see where really is the bias, right? Okay, so this relevancy is talking about, as I mentioned before, right? Right, and in this area, right? In the area whereby here, right? This is the area you are having some section with the qualitative, so-called people that you talk to. Maybe you get some qualitative information from the senior people in the bank or what, or in the marketing company. Then you need to come back to him. You need to analyze with him. You need to discuss with him, right? That is why, how relevant is your information to this type of people, right? How relevant? Relevant to you only or relevant to him? So you have to explain, discuss with him. Perhaps to give you a better idea during the discussion of how to analyze the data, right? So you just believe that, oh, my data is based on so-called quantitative, right? My data is based on quantitative data. Therefore, it must be correct. So sometimes it may not be true. So you just check with the so-called manager, right? You thought this one is true. These are data, facts, black and white. Then you take this data and go and show him. Data, I get this, but when I talk to you, it wasn't this. So there are discrimination between the data we collected and also the face-to-face, not data collection, interview, which I note down in observation and note down in face-to-face form in my structure questionnaire, and it was not the same. Then you come to this area so actually to discuss with him. Right? How relevant your data is to him? How relevant is your data with respect to the quantitative data and the mixture of quantitative and qualitative data? What is the outcome? Is it the same? Is the qualitative outcome the same as the quantitative? Sometimes may not be the same. So then you would have to discuss before you finalize your recommendation. So this part is very important, right? But that's not the end. Then you come to the part where you need to do some delivery, right? So you need to present to him. Big company, we're talking about big company, not a very small mom and pop. Then you need to also write down what is your shortcoming, which part you actually have not expected to handle, but in the process there's some emergent thing for you to handle. So unexpected handling. Unexpected handling involve time, right? What was the delay? Maybe you need to finish your thing but hasn't right out because there's a delay here, right? Maybe something happened, some weather changes, right? All right, or like for example, Malaysia is a flood, so all your document and laptop is already flood away. So you need some time to write this. You need to ask for extension of your assignment. So these are some of those things that expected to have. But if you're lucky, right, you have a quantitative quality, you talk to everybody believe what you say is true, everybody saying it's true, and it's so seldom come to here, then you do the write out. You plan your write out. Right? After the write out, don't just stop it. Get somebody to proofread. Right? Somebody to proofread for you or edit for you. And then you do the final submission. And this part is also important, right? This is your idea of writing. This is some mentor or some more senior people to check your reading. So sometimes you need to pay some money to look into this area. So not really right for you. You already written already. You just want him to her or to check for you. So you have to incur some cost here, right? So these are all the costs. That's why sometimes we ask you to declare the cost. The cost is also important. As I said, Every assignment only have three things, right? You need to have the understanding of people. You need to, in the social aspect, you need to talk about the finance, any deviation from finance. You need to talk about what kind of technology you use to help you to analyze the data, or help you to collect the data, or help you to interpret your data, or help you to source your literature review, things like that, right? Because now you have a lot of new technology like GPT, right? You just key in already. What should I do? He'll tell you what to do. And be surprised because there are millions of integration data inside. Perhaps he can give you a very sensible answer, but don't believe everything a chat GPT have answered you, right? Just for your information, they fail our primary and secondary tests in Singapore. Okay, to cut the story short, let's go back again. Okay, so just a few slides I mentioned quite some time already, almost half an hour. And that's how I explain to you. Do the subject has something to gain, to lose. Certain, you can't get this by yourself. That's why I mentioned and asked you to go to this area. Okay, and this is still within your qualitative analysis. Next, mentioned a lot of ethical already, right? So there again, you always in the organization stage like here, right? You need to do some work here, right? If you have helper, do you train them on ethical value or no? Right? Maybe you have even your sister to help you to do the job, right? Or your friend to help you to do the job, right? They are very free, they are not working, right? Do you brief them, no? Do you brief them on ethical value? Because they are the one who are going to collect your data for you, right? Not you, right? Okay. Do you physically rent a place, no, to keep all your data to make sure it's confidential? Maybe a little bit too so-called high sounding, you may, but at least you put a some table or some locker whereby you keep all those confidential collector data that you collected. Because you tell people you're going to keep confidential, you cannot just put on your table, right? So you need a place, you need a cupboard, you need a locker, or you need a place whereby you can keep something, right? Okay, also the conduct of the interview, these are all under ethic, right? You have to mention a little bit, right? If you have a helper, do you train them of ethical questioning or not? Do you show your interviewer, or do you show your respondent your letter of ethics or not? Do you declare yourself that what are you going to do or not? Do you tell them that you're going to keep them confidential for how long or not? Okay, so rent a place may not necessarily rent a place. At least you have somewhere to keep those things to ensure that it's confidential. And then also the conduct of your interviewer. Right? Don't use leading question, right? Perhaps you use some Google form a little bit more not so biased. So we are talking about bias based on this. That's why you use Google form, because Google form can help you on some part of the bias part. Okay, so all these are here, right? This is what you train your people to be good listener, to be adept. These are kind of common sense, right? Knowledge, you have to discuss the knowledge. So all these are under bias, all right? Method of interviewing, the interviewee, and the subject of interviewer. So all these still come from here, all here, right? So this chart give you a fair bit. This chart is, as I say, made by me after many hours of thinking. So a picture will tell a story. So if you do not know that you have covered, then come back, do you miss out any of this here? For example, you don't clean the data, right? It kind of like your assignment is not really complete. You don't clean data, you just analyze. So who can believe your data? Perhaps you must check your data, as I said. How do you check the data? How do you check the data? It is at least look quite real, right? your data is under variables. How do you know your variables is we have three things, right? Is what the validity must be there, the reliability must be there. To a certain extent, you need to balance the generosity. I mentioned many times. So these are things that you can put things around here, huh? Okay. So all you see, subject, interviewer, and method, right? Method, all these have to be discussed. Of course, 2005, you can't discuss so many things, but please just brush through, right? That's why I tell my students, don't write so much. I help you to do this charge, right? And he do this charge, of course, I help her, huh? And I teach her how to use a Microsoft Visual. All this icon is inside the Visual, right? Yeah. I buy this software to support my student. This software have to be bought. It's very expensive. Microsoft Visual, but it just help me in my teaching, right? So now helping you, you look at this, at least you know what is it all about, right? Without this picture, it's quite difficult to explain to you the complete picture, because now we are talking about mixing qualitative and quantitative, right? And also sometimes with my student assignment, it is much easier, right, for you to look into what is Gantt charts. This is one software, technical software. This is called Visual. This is called Microsoft Project. That's why here we mention software. So sometimes, hey, what's software? So you need to use some software, right? So these two software is very powerful and it's very, very expensive, right? This one and this one. Normally company will provide, but most company will not provide. Okay, unless it's a very big company. Okay, I have managed to make it clear on this ethic, and also the skill required of your interviewer, and I've also shown you this chart whereby your interviewer is here. Okay, next, focus group. So focus groups is another thing, right? This one just describe to you the focus group. So in case you need to describe a focus group, focus group is kind of like this. It's a kind of extensive interviewer. Researchers can control all these, right? And highlight the difference between group clearly. Maybe a little bit less sensitive, right? So you may not be so intimating or more humiliating or something like that, right? So this one, because there are a lot of brainstorming and there are a lot of time to do in the focus group, right? So you can somehow or rather at least have spark some idea, right? So interviewer will control debate, right? So there will be expert in this so-called focus group. He will control and chair the meeting. Case studies are widely used in business research, right? Yeah. So as I said, I think I try to skip this because as a student, I will not ask you to do this. Okay, I mentioned this last week, not to just drag on again one more time. Please have a look. Quantitative data analysis, right? And if we click properly, it come to here. This part. Okay. After all this has been done, you see this picture link everything, right? You cannot do this part if you don't rehearse, recheck, revisit your research review. First review, second review, then you write out. Okay, you don't write out halfway here and there, right? So you have to do all this proper first, then come to the write out. This one is not a proper write out. If you should write out, right? It is just a cut and paste somewhere or just reword it here and there. But this is the final write out. So the data collection involve all this linkage must be done. This one come first, come this, then come this. Okay, you cannot have this before that. So this picture tell you everything, huh? Okay. Okay, understand the important to any approach analysis, especially the qualitative one. You must understand it the important. Okay. What is the importance for you to carry this one? Why you think you need to do this, right? Why you think qualitative is important and it have to be mixed up with quantitative, right? So you have to give a kind of a reflection right here first. So you need to always in the kind of a thorough cases way, you need to have a pro and con. So you need to understand how to categorize your quantitative or how you utilize the data. Right? So you need to categorize it. I don't have sample of how to categorize and but just to let you know that you need to have some kind of a categorize of the thing that you do. Right? You cannot put one big chunk at one time. People cannot understand what you're trying to do. So there are four major processes. You need to unify the data, right? You need to categorize the data, right? You need to recognize the relationship and develop between the data. You need to form a hypothesis, right? That's why sometimes categorizing is very important, right? You want to know who do what under what category, right? It is quite an important thing that you did understand what is categorized. I show you the what you call example of the questionnaire, right? And that is categorizing. So I try to switch left, switch right, and show that you can see. Yeah, also make sure that you can hear. Also make sure that you can understand. And a little bit handicapped to Zoom because it's not so convenient, and I have to do a lot of preparation in this Zoom area, right? Otherwise, I cannot click, the information just come, because if the information do not come at my clicking, when I change screen, it wastes a lot of time, and at the same time, see, I come back to this questionnaire. You see, these all are categorized. Okay, these are under categorized. Right? All these are under categorized. You need to categorize. Otherwise, there is no meaning for you to do your assignment. Right? So after categorize, what you want to do with the categorizing, right? What do you want to do with it, right? Because after categorize, you need to print out the charts. This is grand charts, another more grand charts. We base my weight. I think this is a much more easy for you to have a look, right? So this is Gantt charts. What is it going to do, right? And also under BTEC, this is under BTEC. Also uh, so-called 5 week only, but you have 6 week. I think you got 7 week actually, and this is a breakdown slots. Almost the same, almost the same, put in different form. Right? Categorize. Right. So the purpose of the categorize is just to make this, right, this kind of charts. Anyway, this one is made by Google Form, right? So simple, just made by Google Form, right? Google Form make this charts. If you got time, I show you the Google Form one more time. Right? Google Form can even show you some kind of inference data. So when you categorize, you are doing this, right? You have something that you need to categorize for, right? So you categorize this under your input, right? And this is the data collected using the questionnaire. Just now the questionnaire, right? The questionnaire collect, and this one is made by so-called, of course this one is made by him, this table is made by him, but the data is collected from Google form, right? And this is a way in which you can see. This one do not use SPSS, this one just use Google form. Right, if I have time I will show you the Google form, but now I don't want to spend too much time. And this one, as I say, is taken from here. That's why in the process of we say categorize, you must understand what we mean by categorize. These are categorized. Take from here, right? Take from here, and the charge is made from here. You see, the charge just now is made from here. You got to see the difference here, right? From this bare charge, data is being collected through Excel form, and this one also can print by Excel form, right? So all these are tied up together, and if you are able to show this to your so-called person who mark your assignment, there's no reason you should fail. But you must show in depth. And one more time, this is the letter, cover letter, right? And the school that I teach from Common College. I am a student from Common College, right? And this is okay. You can have some idea like this, then I will just sign, right? Mr. Ong Hua, just sign here, right? And then you carry this along to show it to your person who you want to interview. Okay, it take only 8 minutes. You tell people the time in your letter, right? You say that they are volunteer. They no need voluntary do. They no need to force to answer. Okay, and you also must tell them confident that they will maintain anomalous. Okay, if they still not happy, they can call your principal. Right, this is Common College, the time I work with. Okay, so you sign as a student, I sign here as a tutor. And he even keep a logbook to prove that he do the job. And this is what I say, make from descriptive data, make from Google form, right? Google form. And these are taken from this is what we call the descriptive data describing the sample under categorization. See, I can show you, so it means it's much easier, right? If it's too quick for you, you can reverse back the video and have a look. So it's all come from this questionnaire. Just only this page. Collect so many data through Excel. I have already shown you how to make a question from Google form. From Google form, how you transfer to Excel, how to transfer to Google Sheet to Excel to SPSS. I already showed you before. So this, now I'm showing you the end result. This is the questionnaire. Just simple, 2 page only. Okay, that is the ethical letter. And this is the data. Okay, wonderful data, right? Right? Just click only, just click to the Excel file. And if you don't know how to open the Excel file, no, you don't know how to open a Google form, you look at my video, it's all click, already show you already, right? From there, how you make the questionnaire, I already show you in the previous video. And the end result is just like that. Wonderful, right? Just like that. And this one is taken from the questionnaire. Like this one and the previous, there's even some inference data. There is a questionnaire, right? Also here, still here, right? These are some of those inference data, right? The data, research data analysis. This one do not use SPSS. This one just simply use Google Form. But that's provided you know how to use. I already show you. This is some of another qualitative interview question. You see the quantitative interview, you must mix with the qualitative. This is quantitative questionnaire form, survey form. This is the face-to-face interview form. This. Tell me about the time you know. So this is just described only. There's no data. It's a qualitative data interview. Provide the mission statement, right? Just say, how do you most challenging. So this data is going to check. No, this data is going to check with this data here. This data is taken out. This data is taken out from a Google form from here, and this one is taken out from this form. So I have shared with you quite a bit on the trick of the trade lah. Okay, so hope you can get it lah. Okay, so these are all here, right? Categorizing, recognize the relationship, right? Okay, so in order to recognize the relationship, you must understand. I don't know whether you can see this. Okay, can. You must understand the data. Recognizing, you see, this one just a few words. Nobody understand what is this. And it's so difficult to explain. Recognizing the relationship and categorize. And just now, if I don't show you categorizing, you don't even know what is categorizing. You will never do a research. But you should, excuse me, just give people a chance to learn. So then now we talk about relationship. You see, recognize the relationship and develop. You must recognize first. Then you can develop the categorize. You see? So I show you some sample. So you see here, you must, relationship must done first. These are all my students. I have made them. These are not face to face. This is not Zoom, it's face to face. So I got a lot of time spent with them. So I teach them about categorizing. I teach them about independent, right? Okay, look at this, another one. This one do not give you a fair bit of independent. This is China student. Right? He worked very clear here. Also my Vietnamese student. She make very clear about the independent. Yeah. You see? These are all those things. Input, which is what is the issue? What is the process? What is the output? Okay, this is so difficult to get data from. You see, that's why it become a variable, dependent variable. But sometimes we try our best to get the data from here. You see, these are issues. So we categorize this. Right, these are independent, these are the issue, this is the outcome, this is the process. So these are independent, very clearly we put it. Right, then we know what we are doing. Okay. And you see, these are the issue. We make it very clearly, these are the issue. Right, issue. Okay, issue, you ask what question to get the issue. You must know how to ask what question, right? Right. So these are the issue. How do you duck out a question to ask this, right? So this one you have to think about yourself. I can accept all this, right? I can accept diversity in the workplace. So this means like that. So that one is a accommodate of belief. I can accommodate the diversity belief in the workplace. So this question you have to figure out yourself. These are the questions, give it to your respondent, right? And this is the description you attempt to get. And these are all the categorizing, right? These are all the categorizing. These are questions, all talk about the issue here. So you categorize this issue just to want to get this outcome. Sometimes you may not want to see this, you only want to see this satisfaction, right? So you must do a descriptive to take out a few important one. Take out a few important. Maybe this one take 3, this one take 1 or 2, right? Out of the so-called data, right? Descriptive data. So you see, you must recognize it. Then you can show and then you can develop the relationship. So you must recognize the relationship first, right? Then you can show the relationship, right? The relationship of all this and all this. So you must categorize first. You don't categorize, you cannot. So the meaning here is categorizing and relationship. So what is a relationship? So any of this can be related to the job satisfaction, correct? If the culture can be also related to job satisfaction, right? Even the age, right? You're going to find out whether is it the old people are less satisfied in the working place or not. You can find out from here, right? But before that, you must, this is the relationship with age and job satisfaction. This is the categorizing of the independent variables. Okay, this is the outcome. So all this must be clear first. So step by step here, you must recognize relationship first. Then you categorize. Okay, then later you develop the hypothesis. It's a tall order here, okay? So these are the students' assignment. And these are the relationship, these are hypothesis. Of one study, this is the study from the Chinese student, right? So you want to form a hypothesis, right? Whether there is a significant relationship between this and job satisfaction. So his hypothesis is very clear. Any of this affecting this is my hypothesis. I want to know whether it affects or whether it's significant or whether age is important or not. Whether culture is important. Important means significant. So then I form hypothesis. So from here I form my hypothesis. I make very clear my hypothesis. And all this start from your questionnaire and objective from here. Okay. What is your objective? Understand the issue. That is my objective. Right. So my objective is whether this one has got impact on this or not. My objective is, second objective, the purpose of it is identify whether so this one on this framework, right? And these are input. Of course, he could have said something more about it, but there's too many already. So he didn't say anything. Just hold on. But I stop the other computer. Yeah, because I was putting the other computer to get some info. Okay, so not to get disrupted, develop and test hypothesis. So how do you test a hypothesis? From here. This one is here, and this one is here. But before you test the hypothesis, you must very clearly mention this one first. Yeah, you see this one? Employee satisfaction. This one of the issue. Okay, it's all from here. Here. Employee satisfaction. These are the issue. You want to find out any of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 issue. Is it significant affecting the... See, you want to check whether culture affecting job satisfaction. Okay? Or for that matter, he want to know whether accepting diversity in your workplace is important to have a cordial environment to improve job satisfaction. So he formed this. You see, the question is that things are not that simple. You have to Just now I have shown you, like, you even have to form your question to duck out the information. So there's a lot of things that your answer cannot be so-called belief, because you don't know how to ask question, right? And question is so difficult to ask. Just now I show you that sample, right? You can have the item, but do you know how to ask this question or not? Just you know how to ask this question to duck out this one, to get this issue for you to have a data to put in the hypothesis to confirm this. If your question is wrong, this one is all wrong. That's why sometimes you cannot believe your so-called question, right? And the answer collected, because your question may not be easily understood. This one is quite simple, right? You see, very clear cut. This one on a rank of 1:5. Okay. So we have mentioned quite a fair bit, right, on hypothesis, asking question, right? This one is a simple question, right? Simple one, right? That one is a bit different one, because that one is analyzing things a bit more complicated. This one is a bit more complicated. That's why you need to ask question like this. Like this, right? So you have to formulate your own question, right? So many questions to formulate, right? See, all these are step by step project plan. See, it's all come from here. You need to have this chance to guide you how to do and how to go about. Right? Of course, this one is more than 2,005 words, because the BTEC do not control the word. Like this here, right? All this is all come from here. Right? That's why you cannot believe your answer. You need to check your answer here. Unexpected handling. You need to come down here and check what is the thing that could cause problem to your data. What is the delay? As I say, Malaysia got a flood, right? Delay, throw away all your data, and how you collect it back, right? Before you write this one, right? So there's quite a lot of things for you to review back, front and forward, right? So you need to check your answer too. Clean up here, check answer, encoding, right? Before you come to this analysis, and also after that, we confirm, we do, right? So this is checking your answer. We could be wrong, right? This also can check some of the circumstances. Some may be answer, some may be situation. That's the reason here we talk about this hypothesis. Okay, hypothesis come from here. So you need to test your hypothesis after you develop, right? And your testing is come from here during the data analysis stage. These are too many, so I don't want to bore you with certain things that is not so clear cut, right? Okay, I just want to show you how do you reconfirm your. Not everybody get it done, so that's why I change to another assignment, right? See, all my students are quite clear cut, independent, dependent, all clear cut written down here. Because I have more time with them, that's why I can coach them to do all this. I change from assignment to assignment just to let you know, because not everybody write everything I want them to do. He even explained, I explain later about all this again. He even explained this, he even code this. But you may not have time to do all this. I just want to show you how you confirm your hypothesis. Don't get frightened by this. You don't have to do things like this, right? But I just want to show you this. Then this is how you confirm. I've shown you this before, right? You must confirm your hypothesis in your reflecting of the value of your analysis. Right. Of course, there's many things that I don't want to explain now. It's a bit technical. So you need to confirm. You need to confirm your hypothesis. Whether which one. So out of so many, this one I already explained before last time, but now I'm repeating and repeating. Right? Because one time you may not understand. So I like to show you. So you have to test your hypothesis. See? There is only 2 words there. But to make you understand, right, 2 hours for me is not enough. See? Because I have a lot of things to share with you. You may not have to understand everything, do everything, but it's good for you if you want to go from further study to the MBA stage. This one become very handy. Nobody is going to take so much time to explain to you. But if you're around, try your best to focus on what I've just tell you. You will not regret. Okay, you need to unitize. Unitize. What do you mean by unitize? Yeah, because there are data here and there, right? So you need to join the data. You don't have to use so much word, right? And ask you to use computer approach. That's why I spend so much time talking about SPSS. Talking about, as you say, I try to minimize the Excel because Excel is too simple. No need to explain so much. You need technical. So as I said, whatever you do, you only know 3 things. Whatever you do, please, only 3 things. I mentioned to you last time. In any assignment, you always talk about people. If you never mention anything about people, never mention anything about empathy of people, how you feel people, how people feel, how people behave, how people think. If you don't understand all this, right, your assignment cannot be nice. Then always talk about finance, scope, how big your one assignment is, how much budget you have, and then very important is technology. So if your assignment do not use Google Form, if your assignment do not use SPSS, if your assignment do not use Excel quite powerful for the descriptive, but inference is a bit awkward. Mini tag. Right, so you cannot fulfill all the requirement, right? But too sensitive. Right, all the requirement here, right? Okay. That's why I put in PowerPoint, I can write. The other one cannot write. It's a bit too sticky. Okay. So, you need to have to unify your data. You need to look into your categorization. You need to use computer. Perhaps you need to have to use some manual means to check. So you need to look at the margin. You need to cut out the text and stick to the cut. These are all those things. Transfer, detect to the file. Right? All these are very primitive already, right? Because as you say, if you use Google Form, all these are done for you. If you use SPSS, you don't have to stick cut for what, right? They will do for you, right? So this one is a bit backdated already. Okay. some of the example of analysis. So have a look. Last week I mentioned this PowerPoint, but this week is also very important. Next week is the last week. We only go for lesson 10. So a simple example of analysis. So every time student ask for example, right? So these are simple example of your analysis, right? So you look at all this, right? Your research question. Do you use human approach? As I say, right? Human is here, people. Do you use human approach? You use social or ground theory? We talk about so many theory, right? You use behavioral theory, right? So these are all people, culture, right? So your questionnaire in the research just cover this or not? So it still come back lah. It still come back to all this. It still come back to all this, right? All this here. This one no color lah, but a bit bigger. All this. I put it into in my Moodle. So easy not to change screen. So you look at this. What's the difference? Right? Research question. Right? Research question. Do you overlook this part or not? You see, all this is the same one. All this is the same one. Simple example. But then the trouble is that this one is not so thorough as my charts. Do you do this or not? Right? Do you do this? Right? Do you have something to determine your question or not? Right? Here I didn't put so much about ethical, right? But it's expected for you to put ethical inside out here, right? Okay, your aim, your question, okay, your research methodology. Because all this, if you did not write, you cannot clear the assignment. All these are required, every one of it. Some of which you may write in 1 or 2 sentences, which maybe you don't write the place lah, right? Okay, maybe you don't have so much brainstorming lah. Okay, but at least you need to have understand your proposal. These two may not be so important if you don't do lah this part, but all this must be there, right? So you see, you got 2,500 words. If everyone is how many words, you already have no time to write. So you must put in a lot of table, a lot of figure, so to cut down your writing. See, I put this one here, right? Cut down so much of my writing. I just refer only under planning questionnaire. This is what I expect to do. The rest come as a flow. So when people read about your assignment, they saw your charts, they know there is a flow. Even if you miss a gap here, they can see the flow here that you are trying to step from here, come down here, and then come down here, then come down here, then come down here. That's why a picture paint 1,000 words. This is not flow charts. This is just a simple categorization. Okay. Okay. Small eraser. Wait until tomorrow. Medium eraser. Okay, I'm just playing with this eraser. Okay, then you have this. Then you have this theory and concept framework. Human recognition, training, investment, supporting theory and concept, right? So if you look at this, if you want to talk about theory and concept, right? So you just look at some of my student example, you will know there are a lot of theory and concept. It's no end, right? So this chart will tell you, these are theory. These are even the company background, right? Sony background. Theory and concept. Just one picture tell you all the framework. Now you know why you need a framework? Framework. See? This slide is not made by me. This slide is made by a professor from UK. But framework, right? Framework. Framework. There, I put it down here, framework. This is how I teach my student framework. Okay? From this PowerPoint, we create the framework. We create the research question. Right? This is another one, a research question, right? He didn't put very clearly here, right? There, here. These are questions. These are the questions she formulated. Can you formulate this question to make it more? This is a lack of skill, right? So how do we know the issue on climate? He asked this question. My company recruit from the, so when your company recruit diversity source, that means your company, it is actually supporting the diversity, right? So these are important, these are the issue, right? These are the issue here, right? Quite similar to the other one, but not exactly the same, huh? Because all is under my training, so you can see the pattern almost the same, but write out is not the same. So it's not plagiarism. So you see now the framework is here, right? You understand what is a framework, what is a theory? Framework here, right? Framework, right? You don't have to follow everything. You don't even understand what is all this, right? But the question is that it's all inside here. This is what I tell my student put there. Framework, these are the framework. Conceptualize. Okay, before you conceptualize, right, you need to have some kind of a theory, right? This is in his research review, right? These are the theory. These are the theory, right? The theory. Pay 1,000 words, a theory. These are also the theory, right? These are also the theory, right? These are from the research review. The theory will support this charge. In fact, the research review was read first before this charge is being made. But for the case of presentation, and just try to make your, this one should come a bit later. Because after research review, then you come to have to do all this. This is just to show, to look at the aim and objective. See, using Google Form and SPSS. See, my student use technology. My student talk about framework. My student talk about people. All these are people. Top leader commitment are people. Leader are people. Training involve people, right? Race is also, respect people, also people. So all these are people, right? So people, technology, and finance is what we call design thinking of doing a project. These are the questions, okay? So cover this, right? Cover all this. This is what we call an example of a good analysis. Right, we're going to analyze all this sample. How I didn't tell you how to do the sample size, right? So how do you do the sample size? There are easy way of doing, there are difficult way of doing. Now we talk about sample size, talk about approach. You want the approach to be comparative, or you want the approach to be just by itself, database, right? And these are the method, right, of your way of doing things. So these are simple analysis. Okay, let's go back to the sampling size. In fact, I prepare a thing for you, because here, rather here or there, maybe you look at your sampling. How do you sampling size? There are many types of sampling, right? And before I finish this slide, I would like you to see the other slide. Otherwise, here and there, it is not so what. Okay. I want you to, this slide hasn't finished yet. I want you to look into another, this one, because the sampling size I hadn't explained yet. I want to explain all this before you go into the part. Otherwise, if I show you the student sample, you can see, but you may not know how to write because there are certain theory within the sampling size. Okay, let's cut off all this. I hope I can put it inside. Okay, let's put another one which I want you to see all the theory. I take pain to make this PowerPoint for you. I just make it last night. Okay, these are the PowerPoint of the mix method in research method. Okay, and this is not from any book. This is from my research. This PowerPoint cannot get from anywhere. It's just made by me last night. Okay, so you have to know the importance of all this, right? You must understand what do we mean by variance, what do we mean by constant, what do we mean by case, right? You have to understand this. Then you can do the type of data. These are data that do not change. These are data that change. Okay, these are data based on certain case. Okay, construct data kind of a, you have to have some kind of a cause and effect, right, to construct the data. But in detail, I do not have a time to explain. Now that I have take some notes here, I also cannot remember everything that I take. But then in a way, the theory itself is not so important, but how to use it is more important. Then you have quantitative data. You see this data, you just look at this data here, no meaning. Because the data never tell any story. So never fall into submitting a data like this. This is a country, population is like that. What like that? What's a unit? So it is above this sea level, and it's this average in order. Or perhaps it's a company, and the total up like this. This type of data should be avoided because the data do not tell anything, right? So in order to measure your data, you need to understand all this. I have already explained to you using SPSS, right? So many times, right? But SPSS only got 3, not 4. So one more time. So SPSS got type, right? SPSS got type, right? SPSS is very fast. So don't waste time, but can show you easily. See data here, right? Type of data here, right? Measurement. Yeah, all these are here, right? Skill, ordinary, and normal is here. Right? These are the type of data. So you must measure what you need to measure. Right? For example, right? This one, missing data. Right? Before you change the missing data, you must change this one to skill first. Otherwise, you cannot do a missing data. I also have not much time to show you, only half an hour. I have done quite a lot of research to show you how to do a missing data. And unfortunately, all these are in my Moodle, but now the Moodle itself is having some problem, so cannot show you. Otherwise, we can cut off a lot of our time using the e-learning. So this one must be changed, because if you do not change, you cannot you cannot what you call change this missing data. You see missing data here, right? So in order to do a missing data, you must copy and put another data, right? Okay, so you must tell them how to do the missing data. Okay, later I show you how to do. I don't want to waste too much time because showing this, if it's not done properly, will repeat and repeat, will waste a lot of your time. So later I show you the missing data, how to convert. One more time, how to encode your data, right? Based on this. Excuse me, just 1 minute. I want to show you one more time what is missing data. And missing data is important because it's in my charts. So you have to tell how you handle your missing data. There, your missing data is here, or inside here. Missing data in this process. So any of the process you didn't do, when I mark, I look at all this process. And all this process is taken up from the BTEC criteria. It's the same as OTHM. In fact, BTEC actually is OTHM. Only different company in UK. And it's even more difficult than OTHM because my student doing all the assignments is only from level 5. BTEC also got level 7. So one more time, just show you one more time this one. I showed it to you before, but I just want to show you one more time. Missing data. How you handle this missing data? People just don't key in. You cannot anyhow put one data inside. You must let the AI of this SPSS handle for you. Okay? Right. This one is coding. This one is coding. Coding with missing data, a bit complicated, but this is missing data. How do you handle this? How do you change this one to 2? Why don't you tune it into 1? Why you must put 2? There's a logic, right? There's a logic in the computer to help you to do all this. I make a video on this in a simple form. If I have time, I show you. Okay. But in your assignment, you just mentioned that missing data have to be settled. I think it's good enough. Because you can ask people to handle this for you. Right? So ask you to handle is not important, but to know that there is a way to handle this or the missing data must be handled, it is the criteria we look for. It is the assessment criteria. Not how you do it. How you do it is not so important. You can ask people to help you how to do it. Right? Okay, I've showed you this already, right? Right? So these are very important. The measuring skill is very important. Then you have this, right? Then we also talk about all this, right, before, right? You must check your data is valid or not, reliable or not. So it may be reliable, but it is not vivid, right? You do not intend what to be is not here, right? So vivid is here, reliability is here. Okay, this is a bit off target. So all the time you must mention words like this, right? Okay. I jumped here and there just to let you understand. Okay, next one. Right, this one. Reliability, you have you can test, you can retest, you can have internal or you can iterate. Iterate is from one variables to another variables. One variables to another variable. Okay. You may have many variables, one variable to another variable. Like perhaps that matter, for that point matter, you must understand a little bit of business statistics to understand this. I have done a simple one, this one. So you can, because this is a video, right? This one you must understand all this. These are very basic statistics, which I also put down there, huh? So you must know how to do this. This one you don't have to do because but you must understand how it was being formed. This, and I can show you. SPSS can just do this one like that. SBS just do this one like that. See? Just press one button, this thing will come out. You can see mean 9.92. You calculate like hell until this 9.92. Computer press one button 9.92. Right? This is done by SPSS. Right? It can tell you no missing data. Okay? And there's no missing data here. Right? You want to talk about standard deviation 3.23. Standard deviation 3.23. Effect 3 figure. So all this so easily being done, and these are the formula should be done in the certificate level, not now, right? So this is how you get it done. These are mean, mode, all this, right? You can analyze, you can correlate, you can weave rate. So you must know what is weave rate data, right? Later I show you this one first. Later. Okay, let's continue this one. You can retest your variables. And you must understand this, please. Okay, you must describe your sample size. You must describe what type of sample it is. Okay, how do you select from the population? Which type? What do you mean by probability sample? What do you mean a non-probability sample? Okay, right. These are very systematic. Digital, very easy to calculate. This one is judgment one, right? Especially what we call in-depth interview. What do you feel about the morale of the people? Question like this, is very difficult to be under here. You cannot use figure to judge this. Quite difficult, and it's not accurate. So you must mention which type. You use random sample, you use systematic sample. Last time I mentioned, right? 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 3, 5, 6 is called sampling. Strata, you have one, like strata house, right? You got one block by block. Then you will cluster together, right? So you will describe your sample, right? So many students will have to describe. Not just know what it is, but you must know what it is to describe. So it's a bit difficult to let you know the see this one, these are the so-called content you ought to put something like this. You don't have to put so many, but you need to put sample size, right? You must describe your sample size. Tell me what is it? Is it non-probability or what? And how you determine your sample size? That sample design, right? You must explain your technique. This type, and this type same. These are all same, right? You must also have some reference, right? So student take a trouble to do all this from here. Well, these are all the reference. Okay. These are non-probability. It's actually taken from here. Right. But PowerPoint is PowerPoint. When you write in the assignment, you have to write like this. Oh, so now you have to write like this. And you need to have some reference. As I say, every page must have a reference. Right. Sample technique, sample size. So you need to describe all this. Right. And this, as I said, is all under here. Sorry lah, I have a jump up and right. Right, oh, it's all here, right? Under all this here, right? Methodology here, question name, all this. I do not put very clearly sampling, but the thing is under design research under here. Okay, so let me finish this one. So many more. I jump here and there because this one refer to this one. They tell you sample, a strengthened sample, or is nobody understand what this PowerPoint is trying to tell you. And I don't want to pretend to say, oh, I teach you already, look at this PowerPoint, it's like that. And you don't seem to understand if I just tell you like that. That's why I must take the trouble to think how to teach you, to let you understand. That is why I make my Moodle system for the Zoom. Click here, click there, you can see everything in one slide. I didn't confuse you, I relate here to here, right? Right, and I relate here to here. See here. Okay? Alright. Let me finish this one. Next, there is a so-called sample calculator. I wonder whether you know how to download the calculator. It is acceptable if you use a sample calculator. It's also okay, right? So that you will not be, but you must know how to use a calculator. So you look at it first while I try to show you sample calculator. Sample calculator is this kind of program whereby you can use even your handphone to do. This is taken from the handphone. So where do you get this one from? It's from here. It's from here, right? This sample, right? This one. So you click, then you come to here. Okay, so the sample is taken from this program. This is a program. This is a program. This is a program. The name of the program under the Android application is sample size calculator. So when you click, you'll come to here. See, now I'm showing you this handphone, right? So in my house using the Zoom, you get the advantage because all my equipment is here. I got 4 or 5 computers in front of me, and I got so many scanners. When I press this button, you can see real time. Okay, this one will come to here. So let me stop this one first. Come to here, right? This is a PowerPoint. The one is a real life. This is a real life thing, right? But it's the same, right? It's the same. You have to start here. Of course, there's a lot of because you're using a free program, you have to bear with it. That's why I make it into a video. Okay, then you come to here. This is real time. Just now the one is. So you need to put this one first. How many you want to put, right? If a sample size is 100 or 10,000, right? Then you must know your margin of error. You want to put 20%, also can. Okay, but population you want to put, normally population I put 50%, right? And then you get it done. Then it will calculate for you the sample size. There. Sorry, I take it out because I cannot see. The sample size it calculate for you. Let me, yeah, see? Just now the one is PowerPoint, but this is real life. Okay, if you think that you want to change, it's okay, you can change. Then you can see the difference. Oh, not too much. You can change, because a handphone is quite difficult to show you. Okay. That's why I make a video to explain to you. Okay, let's stop. Right. So look at the video here, you see. Same thing. This is video. Just now the one is live. But video more comfortable. It's quite systematic. The live, the one sometimes. So you look at it, how I do it. Well, I correct this one. Then we go back to the live again. See the result different, right? Sample size 19, 2 liter, right? So you can change the error margin. You change the error margin to 20, you can see it go more, right? 1 to 1. So 1 to 1 more realistic, right? Just now it's 2 liter, right? But then your error margin is 20%. Okay, so you play around with it, and it is an accepted done by most university. You are allowed to use this calculator. Okay, so far nobody teach how to use this calculator. You're supposed to know yourself quite easily. I also learned like that. Okay, then the next one, let me cancel this one first. Otherwise, if I don't close off, my expensive scanner will have the lamp blown, and then I have problem. Spending too much money, earning too little. Okay, so the type of you must understand this, the type of primary and secondary data. Look at this. Right. So you should know what is secondary data very clearly, right? So pre-counter check, you already done halfway somewhere, right? These are all your primary data, okay? And these are all the secondary data, okay? I told you from company record, right? This one do not include website. It should be from a website. Yeah, internet. Yeah, here. Same. Okay, can be internet. So at least you got a fair bit where you get the secondary data from. This type of chart is very, and you can put this one in your assignment. You don't have to write, right? And this one also, how you assess your data. Okay, step by step. First you assess whether you have the data or not. Then you check for the key one, right? Then we construct some kind of theory, and then you assess the ability, how you measure, and then you assess the availability, and then you check a sample. Representative enough is that how accurate it is, how recent it is, what is the time frame. So you should not get, you can get a literature review for a bit long, so you must take some currency journal, right? So that the time frame is shorter to get your literature review. Okay, not so much time, that's why I don't want to explain. Step in designing your survey. So please check this step, right? Did you do all this step? See, all these are exactly the same as I told you here. It's the same. This is in chart form and different. So you need to see from many different perspectives so that you can understand better, right? Actually, they are the same, right? What's the difference, right? Everything is the same. Right? You need to design, you need to ask questions, the sampling size is here, right? Right? These are all organization, right? Organization of your project. That's why we call this what you call word breakdown structure in project management. So that you will know exactly what is the type, and then you put this in your Gantt charts. All here same, All this task is all inside here. See? Here, all inside here. I cannot make it bigger for you because already very convenient. And all this is not cut from internet. All this is painfully done by technology. To make this charts take a few hours, at least 4 or 5 hours to make this charts. And this is only making the charts. The concept putting in this charts take a long time to categorize all this. But this one, a picture paint 1,000 words. Okay, so come from here. It's the same, come from here, right? Yeah, put in different way. Execution is implementation, right? Here, execution implementation, right? This one you plan, this execution, and then you analyze, this one post analysis, then you write, then you submit. See, all tied up one pieces. This one no meaning, but you look at this one together with this one, and this one, a lot of meaning. All come to life. Okay. This is called a lacquer skill. You must know what is a lacquer skill. This is called a kind of lacquer skill, but you have two negative and reverse here. I think this is not so important. It may confuse you. Look at lacquer skill, right? This is a lacquer skill, very simple, down to earth. I consider op job airline to be here, you see, you put down here, right? Down to earth, I agree. Family orientated, I agree. I consider this one. So you put all this on for you to analyze. So you do a lacquer skill analysis. This is called a ranking analysis. There are different types. Just show you only, right? There are 7 points. So then you talk about designing questionnaire. You must design the page of your questionnaire. You must choose the order of a question, and you must choose the layout. Nothing can describe better than my words, right? Just by your eye looking at it. So what does it mean by this? Right? What does it mean like this? These three statements there has got no meaning, right? Design starting page, choose the order of question, design the layout. What does it mean? Where is the example? That's why I like to show you the real life example of my student who already passed. Right? This is the questionnaire, right? This is the question I showed many times already. This is the questionnaire. What's the order? The order descriptive must come first, right? Then inference data. So this is the order, right? Order of the question. Okay? Design the starting page. Some people may make it very fancy or what, but to me, I design a starting page. You need a cover page, You need a cover page. The cover page I already showed you just now, right? Right. And that cover page also you attach with the ethical form, right? Okay, about layout, right? This is the layout, Layout is very important. These are layout bullet. These are layout. This student even take the trouble to Google Translate. Because why? Because many of the exchange have to depend on the situation. Many of the bus exchange you go down to get the data from the passenger of the bus is Malaysian because it's near JB station. So he think it's important because of that situation he must put a so-called translator here. So the so-called the respondent just tick because you can see the 同意不同意中位right? So at least you understand 完全什么同意completely agree. Not directly translated, but I think it's okay, right? Okay, so you understand this one, 1, 2, 3 here, right? Right? We only got 10 minutes. Every time I leave it run short time. Okay, summary of some of the key when you're designing. So you look at all this now, okay? You even have to look at your grammar, right? And then check whether it's open there. So this one is I put it in this video lah. I don't want to explain now because too much time. I cannot do other thing if I explain. Okay, then you look at two type of data. Remember, you need to understand all this. Okay, because you need to provide this kind of data. So when you describe the data, you do this and do this. So you must have not all, right? You must have maybe one bar charts lah, right? Right. Then you must at least a standard deviation. Out of this category, you must pick one or two, right, to present, right? And you may not have cross tablet lah. You may have a correlation. Just to give you an idea. I don't much time. Sometimes cross tablet is very important. So I'm a bit down to earth. That's why I show you on the hand-on. I like to be hand-on. These are called cross-tabulation. Right? You can cross-tabulate anything. Right? Let's go. Cross tablet you need two. You need two. You need two to here at the current. You need two to cross tablet. Okay. So you have cross tablet, right? Tablet this age again this year. This is called a cross tablet. Right? Cross tablet sometimes is very very important. Right? It's a little bit different from so-called correlation. Right, correlation a bit different. So cross tablet, this figure is too much, so sometimes it's very confusing. But at least it's, you tablet between the year and this. Okay. So it's a cross tablet. People who have 1 year here, who have a 25 year of age, right, have 1 year in the current address. So this come from 25. This is cross tablet here. At least I show you this cross tablet. Okay, you don't have to know everything like this now. Then correlation, statistic. Statistic is very easy to find statistic, right? So these are statistics. Everything is down here. You can pick up anything that you want. But important is standard deviation, right? Right. Sometimes you may check the skewness. Take one. You can even print charts if you want, right? These are the not correlation, these are the frequency. Okay, and these are the standard deviation all here. Right, you don't have to calculate this, everything is down here. So the further away means it's this further away from the mean by 12. Where the mean is 42. So this is further away from the mean by 12. So the further away, that means the less accurate it becomes. And now I just show you one more time. Since I'm only here, right? Now you know what's this place, this word, this word come from here. This word come from here. This one come from here. Okay? This one means hand on. This one means hand-on. Very few teachers show you this. We got to take a lot of study to understand this. Yeah. So correlation, right? So here means what? When you put 1 here, right? Here means it's quite, this t square, this means this is significant. But correlation point here, this one must less than 0.05. That means this one is considered a p table, is significant. P. And this one is quite correlated. 0.75 is already correlated. So this correlation is 0.6. See? So if you want to get everything from here, SPSS will so happy to give you all this. Right? For example, you want to have this. See, all these are here, right? Covariance is all here. Right? All these are inside here, the covariance, correlation. Okay, so I can pass. Okay, then you have all these charts, description. I will try to show you when I have a time. Okay. And this one is I just show you, right? Just now, right? All this can be done by SPSS. But the mean, you must try to understand what is standard deviation. The mean here is 100, 110. The mean here is about 1,000. When the standard deviation 150, that means 65% of the price fall within this here to here. If 95, that means the range is from 700 to this. So try to understand a little bit meaning on this. All these are done by SPSS. I just showed you just now, right? And this is based on the figure. You need to calculate like hell. You will need to calculate. But then SPSS will do it for you just like that. Okay. So we got 2 more minutes. I keep this one for next week. These 2 such very important because this is a cookbook. You need to do yourself. Since I have 2 more minutes, I want to show you the encoder before I forget. I got so many things. I teach so many classes, so many things. I cannot remember everything. Since I prepare already, I show you. Okay, have a look. How 2 minutes. I think 2 minutes enough. Have a look to see how missing data is filled. Look at the missing data. The missing data is very important, right? Missing data is from here. Missing data, clean up. Okay, talk so much about missing data. I just make the video for you, but you don't have any video. You don't have to have any video because you look at the video already. The video in. Okay, how to convert your missing data? Excuse the sound, because I have no time to put music for you. To do the missing data, these are missing data here, right? Can you see the missing data here and here? But in order not to destroy it and lost my data file to teach another student, I copy another data, right? Otherwise, all my file were lost and all my data were gone. Important, I told you just now, this missing data is here, right? I have to change this one to 0. And I have to change this skill to skill. Otherwise, it cannot work. So I must change this missing data to 0 first. Okay? To make him realize, because computer is a robot, you don't understand what you mean by missing data, right? Because this missing data is here. This missing data is 0. But you didn't tell the computer missing data is 0, he don't know what is the meaning of missing data. That's the reason we put a 0 there. See, you don't have to learn many things. from this video you can do quite a lot of things if you pay attention. So missing data you put here. Missing data here. I must tell the computer why is the missing data. Okay. Then I wait. Then so fast. Right. So fast. Okay. Then after that, very fast. After you go to transform, because it's very fast. Transform, create. No, transform missing data is here. Missing data here. Transform missing data. After you tell the computer missing data is 0, right? This one will be there for you. Then you check your field, check your column. Okay, once your column is there, okay. But that's not important. Important thing is to make the missing data. You see see now. You see the missing data is already filled for you. The missing data is already filled for you. Right after you do the exercise. Because we got to change the decimal place. So wonderful, right? You see this missing data is already filled in for you, right? 0 is become 2. How do you know it's 2, right? You don't know. Why don't you put 1? Why don't you put 3? Computer tell you put 2. 2 is correct. So don't have the reason, but there is a logic within this computer. I tell you. That's why the software you use. Finish. Okay, since I'm fresh, I show you this. Okay, so I already finished what I need to teach you, right? And then I think, already I speak for 2 hours and 03 minutes. So I will wish you farewell. Bye bye. See you next time. Thank you. Good night. End meeting.